After 70 hours of gameplay and 1 platinum trophy later, it is finally time for tips and tricks I wish I knew earlier in Atlas Fallen. First of all, let's start by talking about some of the idols, essence stones, and perks you should definitely unlock as soon as you possibly can. Let's start out with what's under my opinion the best essence stones in the game, and most of them you can get very early on. My absolute favorite is Evasive Burst. You'll make an area of effect damage all around you every single time you dodge. This is great especially for those pesky flying enemies. You can just hit them once, then dash around them 3 times, do a ton of damage, hit them once more to get your dashes back, and then just keep on dashing around them as much as you like. You're avoiding the damage at the same time as you are damaging the enemy. So this, when fully upgraded, actually deals a decent amount of damage considering you're not really even attacking. And it can be found pretty much right near the start of the game in the Forbidden Lands, which is the first main region you go to. All you need to do is jump on the rooftops of the village here, and you can find it in this chest sitting right here. This actually pairs really well with one of my favorite idols, which is the Idol of Theft. This allows you to regen a small part of your health every time you deal damage to an enemy, which combining these two, literally every time you dash around an enemy, not only are you damaging all of them because it's area of effect damage, you're also regaining a little bit of health for each. And the Idol of Theft can be obtained by doing the side quest called A New Home, which can be found right here on the map in the Wildlands, which is the 3rd main region you visit. While talking about the Essence Stones, we do need to take into account the momentum gauge needs to be filled up past the point of wherever that Essence Stone is equipped. So I always have this Evasive Burst in one of the first 2 slots just to make sure that I'm getting it as soon as possible. And a third thing that makes this combination absolutely amazing is that it's a perk that allows you to start each and every battle with a little bit of momentum gauge. If you upgrade this perk, you can actually start each and every battle with enough momentum to automatically have this activated every single time as long as you put it in one of your first 2 slots. Meaning every time you go into battle, you can literally just start dashing straight away without needing to charge any momentum, and you're already getting a great amount of damage off while healing yourself. Moving on to another amazing Essence Stone is Saving Grace. This allows you to prevent a fatal blow and prevent all damage that would be dealt. It does have a 20-second cooldown, but if you upgrade it, it only has a 15-second cooldown instead, meaning that every 15 seconds, as long as you've got enough momentum, if you would take a fatal hit, you prevent all of that damage, which is obviously really amazing, especially if you're playing on those harder difficulties. And this can be found in just this random chest sitting right here where we're showing you on the map in the middle of the Wildlands. If you fought any of the Colossus Wraiths, which are the bigger enemies, let's call them bosses or mini-bosses, you know that one of the most annoying things is the knockback, that when they hit you with a strong attack, you almost always get knocked over, and that's just really annoying because it takes a while to get up. There's actually a Essence Stone called Unwavering Stance that gives you less chance of getting knocked back from enemies' attacks, and if you upgrade this to its max level, you actually barely ever get knocked back by any attacks in the entire game. It's really, really good. And this is unlocked through the formula number 7, which is actually the reward for the Great View treasure hunt in the Forbidden Lands, which is the first region we was talking about before. And again, of course, we are showing you in the gameplay right here where you can find this final treasure. Now, if you do have all of the map fragments for the Great View treasure map, you will see a marker on the map of pretty much where this treasure is, and when you get up here, you'll see the marker on the ground in blue, as well as the prompt to raise the chest out of the ground. However, something not many people know is you don't actually need the treasure map fragments to be able to get these treasures. If for whatever reason, let's say you've seen on YouTube or from a previous playthrough or whatever, if you knew exactly where that chest is, you can actually go there and then press the up button on the PlayStation, for example, to lift the chest out of the ground. Even though you get no prompt or you can't see any marks on the ground, you can actually still dig up these chests as long as you know where they are. So also make sure you're grabbing that as soon as you get to the Forbidden Lands, as it's a really, really good Essence Stone. The final Essence Stone I recommend is Narrow Escape. This gives you a chance to negate all damage. So this is quite self-explanatory, obviously really amazing. You get this one through formula number 11, which is in the 2nd main region of the game, Bastengar's Underground in the Sunken City. You want to wait until you have the triple jump, and then you want to go across above the bridge here, and in the room to the right where there's actually an anvil, and in the chest you'll find this formula, which will allow you to craft Narrow Escape. Now, obviously, there are a bunch of other really, really good Essence Stones out there, fairly obvious ones like increasing damage and stuff like that, which you're going to figure out by yourself, but these are the ones I've been using for most of the game, which I found really, really helpful. Another one of my favorite idols is the Idol of Expansion, which this actually gives you an extra idol charge. So instead of, let's say, having 3 heals, you can have 4 heals. And I mean, who doesn't want an extra heal in combat? Again, especially if you're playing on those hard difficulties. And this one can be found once you get to the Wildlands and advance the story until you go down into the mines. There's a chest you can dig up down here in the mines right here that will give you the Idol of Expansion. We slightly already mentioned the perk features, but I would recommend upgrading all of your armor sets, even the trashy ones you don't have any intention of using whatsoever. Make sure you upgrade all of them as long as you have enough resources, as each time you upgrade any armor set, you'll get a perk point you can spend to unlock or upgrade any of your perks. The ones I would recommend unlocking and upgrading first are obviously quick growth, which allows you to simply get more essence, which is pretty much what you use for everything on this game. The second one you definitely want to upgrade as soon as possible is the one we mentioned before, called Momentum Burst. This one allows you to start the combat with some of your momentum gauge already filled up. So now that we have an amazing combination of idols, perks, and essence stones, we are finally ready to take on pretty much anything. Also, other than upgrading your armors, make sure you check out what you need to activate their bonuses. As you can see down here, some of them get attack bonuses, some of them get defensive bonuses, etc, etc. And to activate these, all you need to do is make sure you have at least that many of that type of essence stone equipped. So the red ones are obviously the damage essence stones, then we have the purple ones, which are the tricks essence stones, then we have blue, momentum, the green are healing, and the yellow are survivability. And then we have like the ones with the dark edges and stuff, which are the cursed, which come from the elite foes, and they have negative effects with them. So if you do have a few essence stone slots left over, which you're not really sure what to put in them, and you're just kind of filling them up with whatever, make sure you're at least using the correct colors, so you're getting the bonuses of whichever armor you are using. Also, if you played the game, you probably already realized this by now, but the game is very short. Like, if you're doing just the story, if you're full on just story mode, the game is so short. You could finish it in, like, I don't even want to say how long. It's so short. So make sure you are exploring it if you do want to enjoy the game. Take your time to explore, do all the side quests, do all the bonus content, find all those treasure chests. Take your time with it if you do want to get your money's worth out of this game, because, like I said, I can't specify this enough. The story is way too short. I'm not bashing the game in any way. I actually really enjoyed it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent 70 hours in my playthrough, which is actually closer to 125 hours, honestly, because I had more than one save just to test out things and stuff. Way too much time playing this game. So yeah, you probably won't get 100 hours of gameplay out of it, but I would estimate you can get at least 40 to 50 solid hours if you do the 100% and sort of explore everything, get all the laws, etc, etc. And on that exploration note, make sure you are talking to all of the NPCs, even that don't have side quests available, as some random NPCs just hand over formulas or hand over essence stones, and they are sometimes missable as well. So make sure you just talk to any NPC you see wandering around at any point that you can talk to. Also, a bunch of the stuff is missable, especially like the side quests and some of the rewards for them, obviously. Like, once you leave the Forbidden Lands for the first time, it'll give you a quick warning saying that there are things that you won't be able to complete once you go there for story reasons. You can come back to the Forbidden Lands whenever you like, but you simply can't do a lot of the side quests and stuff like that. So make sure once you finish the storyline in one of the regions, before advancing to the next one, really go back and fully explore the region, make sure you do all those side quests and clean everything up. In all of the regions, make sure you keep your eye out for the traveling vendor, and you can find him quite easily by just looking at the sky, and you should be able to see his kite. When you see the kite, just follow the string down, and wherever the string is, he will be located. Of course, he's going to sell stuff that some of the other vendors don't, so definitely check out his wares every time. Most importantly, make sure if you ever want to sell any of your artifacts, which are pretty much used just for selling, you want to go to the traveling vendor, as sometimes you can see some of the prices highlighted in green. Which items are highlighted in green is completely random, they keep changing around, but anytime you see any in green, that's when you want to make sure you sell them to him, as he's giving you a higher price than anyone else usually would. So every time you find a traveling vendor, just stop by, see if you've got any items that are actually selling for a higher price at that point, and sell them then, and just hold on to everything else unless you really need the cash at that moment. Over the long run, this will get you a bunch more gold than you would just by selling off everything every time you see a shop. Something else really useful about the traveling vendor is when you defeat the elite foes, they always drop a unique essence stone, and if you forget to loot that essence stone, you kind of miss out the chance because you can't fight the elite foe again. Any of the essence stones you miss out on this way are actually sold by the traveling vendor, so you don't miss out on them. Usually we have a whole section dedicated to combat tips, but honestly in this game there's not really many tips and tricks I can give you for the combat, other than some of the basic stuff that the game already really tells you on the loading screens. For example, the smashdown attack with R2 when you're in the air is really good every time an enemy goes underground. This will crystallize them and make them appear instantly, which is really good, so every time you see an enemy underground, make sure you do a smashdown attack. If you're low on momentum, always use your whip, as it's a faster attacking weapon and it will build your momentum a lot quicker than the other ones, even though it does less damage, but it's a really great way to build up your momentum. I'm sure if you've been wandering through the deserts long enough, you've come across these Watcher Furies events, which is where the screen randomly goes white if you're in view nearby a watchtower. Even if the watchtower is cleared, you can still get these Watcher's Furies events every now and then. And you may have noticed the first time you clear it, the final enemy drops also a unique Essence Stone. Now, the Essence Stone is actually based on which watchtower you're near to, and as in the Forbidden Lands, there's only one watchtower. No matter how many times you do this Watcher's Fury, you will only get that one Essence Stone. However, in regions like the Wildlands, there's actually more than one watchtower. There are 3. So depending on which watchtower you're near to, you actually get a different essence stone drop. If you're on the one to the south, you get one drop. If you do the Watcher's Fury in the one a little bit further over to the east, you'll get a different essence stone at the end. For some reason, the watchtower at the north of the Wildlands, I've never been able to activate a Watcher's Fury anywhere near there. I don't know what's going on up there, I'm not sure if it's a bug, but there doesn't seem to be a Watcher's Fury for the northern watchtower in the Wildlands. This final one I've left until last because it's kind of stupid and I might have just been an idiot at the start, but I spent like the entire first region without realizing this. When you complete the ceiling totems, which are these time trials you need to get from one totem to the next, even after it says complete and you get the collectible, there'll be one final beam of light heading towards somewhere. Make sure you actually follow that beam of light after completing the ceiling totem, and it would actually lead you to a chest you can dig up. I wasn't getting the chest at the start, I was just completing the ceiling totem and moving on to something else, so that might have just been me being an idiot, but I'm sure I can't be the only person that's happened to. Anyway, that is everything I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you have any extra tips and tricks, do leave them in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time.